What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this, we have 13 things you need to know before moving to the UK from American and Scotland. Very excited. And I feel like this is the first one I've seen Americans like move to Scotland and not like to London or I guess some city within England, because Scotland's not within England, right? Yeah, and so this should be very interesting. Before we dive in, if you guys happen to enjoy it, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. Also, if you would like to support this channel by becoming a member, all you gotta do is hit that join button, get your exclusive benefits. Let's dive right in.
Hey y'all.
We're Zach and Annie, a Scotsman and American who met while working as camp counselors.
Then we fell in love, started a family.
And now, after 15 years of living across the US, we recently uprooted our entire lives to move from California to Bonnie, Scotland.
After 15 years, wow. This should be
Hi
very
everyone,
interesting.
welcome back. So today's video is going to be about the 10 things that you should know before moving over to the UK.
13,
Number one, if it's not raining, you're outside. No, not quite,
That's
but
not
close.
actually it.
It's a little chilly today, but it's not raining. It's a beautiful evening. We've just been out for dinner, which makes it an even more amazing evening since
It was Zach's birthday dinner, so we had a couple drinks. We're feeling a little warmed up, ready for a video. And let's get into it then.
That's the best time to make a video.
Number one is something that we have experienced recently, and that is, it applies to American tourists, and if you're coming to live here, is do not underestimate the distance between two locations.
We did. Actually, I think Zach knew more so than I did.
Yes.
But when we moved over, I was like, oh, you can, if you really need to, you can go from the top of Scotland to the bottom of the UK in a day's travel. We've been humbled. And if you want to do it right, give yourself time. So we just went up to the Highlands and met a really good friend. And that is probably going to be next video, maybe the one after. We'll just see how long editing takes. But what was it? We traveled 150 miles.
Yeah.
And how long was it, Zach?
Beep, boop, beep, boop. 9 hours.
100? Did he say 115 miles in 9 hours? No.
And how long was it, Zach?
Beep, boop, beep, boop. 9 hours. Now,
full 9 hours.
We did stop and do some video and like took the tour bus up because the scenery was amazing. But it's 150 miles on
150.
Almost all of it was single track roads.
That's true, yeah.
Where you have passing points and you have to let somebody come past. Like there's just one road. So yeah, I mean, people have visited before and they're like, oh, we'll just nip up to Loch Ness and then we'll just nip over here and Inverness in a day and this in a day. And it's just like, okay, slow down. Your trip to Inverness should be your day. Yeah. And then from Inverness, you go to here or to here.
I think Edinburgh should be 3 days. You know, take your time. Make sure that you have that time to spend in each location. And if you are trying to travel the North Coast, give yourself, I mean, it took us 9 hours for one day. And we had so much more that we didn't get to explore. So that humbled us as far as what we thought we could do in a short amount of time. And we're not going to make that mistake again because we want to get more for our buck and be able to really take in all the sites and all the locations fully.
Yep.
I feel that.
So hire a car if you're visiting and just one day.
Did you say hire a car?
Hire a car.
Oh, hire a car. Like you just threw out a term like hire a car. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, one day at a time. And yeah, because we don't have, I mean, even though the speed limits are higher here, you don't have those 4-lane highways like you do in the States where you can go at like 70, 80 miles an hour maybe. And yeah, because 150 miles in the States, that's maybe 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
9 hours at the speed limit with a few stops. So be warned.
Okay, next one.
Now that really shook me. Like I'm literally sitting over here like in disbelief. 150 miles. They made a couple stops, so let's take the stops off. We'll take off 3 hours. We'll be generous. We'll take off 3 hours. Even 150 miles for that to take even 6 hours is genuinely shocking. Like, yeah, I feel like if I hadn't been to the UK and I was like, 150 miles, yeah, let's just easily pop up here, pop up. Yeah, 2.5 hours, easy. No, 9. God damn. Hey, we need some yeah. It's just very different. It's very, there's nothing I'm used to. 9 hours almost gets me from here back to my hometown. And we're talking about 720 miles. And I can almost make that in about 10, 11 hours. But, jeez.
This one also took me by surprise. I got off of, in the States, it was Marketplace, Columbia jacket, and I thought it was a waterproof, rainproof jacket. No, it was water repellent. There is a huge difference between waterproof and water repellent.
I mean, the Columbia
I
brand
don't know
in the
the
States
difference,
is like
I
a
ain't
really
gonna
nice,
lie.
expensive brand, but it instantly did not stand up to the Scottish elements. And it's funny, Annie's dad has a really funny story he likes to share. I think it was one of the Ryder Cups where the US team were in Scotland playing the golf tournament, if you're not aware, and they had all their fancy, I don't know what brand it was, a US brand of waterproof.
One of the teammates or
the
wives
whole team
had chosen it for them because it looked cool.
Maybe it's like Ralph Lauren or something. Waterproof clothing, and it rained, and they realized that it was not waterproof enough.
Pretty quickly.
So the US team had to go to the like on-site stores at the Ryder Cup and buy Scottish approved waterproof clothing.
I think it all said like Ryder Cup.
Yeah, like they were tourists to get them through the tournament. So funny
That's
story, but
crazy.
There's a big difference between like water repellent, waterproof obviously, and then water resistant as well. Water repellent, water resistant, don't bother. Waterproof is what you need. Like pretend like you're hiking a mountain and then go with that standard.
Yep.
Because you can.
There's a big difference. In the States, it had rained on me a few times, and I thought, oh yeah, totally waterproof. No, real Scottish rain, when it's coming down and you're walking back and forth for a mile.
You gotta pull it out of your backpack as your lifesaver. You need it to actually do the job.
Yeah, you gotta test that. Put it in the bathtub. Sit in your shower for a little bit.
It's funny you say that. In some of our outdoor stores, Tyso's over here, there's a booth you can go into, and you hit the button and it pours like it's a shower.
That's honestly what you need to try when you're really considering what you already have and you don't know whether it's waterproof or water resistant. Just get in that shower. You'll find out real fast.
All right, number three.
That's wild. So water repellent, water resistant. Though those terms, if they say that, it's not good enough for Scotland. It may be good enough for the U.S., but for that Scotland rain, it got to be waterproof, and not just regular waterproof. Scotland approved waterproof. Hop in that shower, test it out.
So another thing that's a little bit of a misconception is the cost of living is so much cheaper to live over here. Yes, technically groceries are cheaper, rents are cheaper, homes are cheaper if you look at the grand scale compared to the United States, but that comes with a caveat that people make much smaller wages over here in comparison.
Yeah, we don't have the exact numbers, but I think the median wage in the States is somewhere around like $40,000-$50,000. I don't actually know what it is over here, but even like a decent starter job, you're going to be lucky to get like £30,000.
Yeah.
Like entry level.
Oh wow.
So yeah, all the numbers look smaller, but it's all relative. And one of our previous videos, we broke down some of the actual prices of like groceries and gas or petrol and all those sort of things. But yeah, the numbers can look smaller, but your income is going to have that smaller number as well, unfortunately. So
if you're moving over here, keep that in mind and know that you might be coming from a U.S. salary of $150,000 and then going to a 40,000 pound salary. That's a big difference. So keep that in mind, make sure you do the maths and make sure it makes sense for your family.
Maths, see, she's picking up.
If you move, if you make that move, then you got enough money. You're set on money. If you're willing to leave $120,000 salary for a 40,000 pound salary, that means you're good on money. That's not something that you stress about when making decisions. That's wild.
Up in the lingo, none of this math nonsense.
I gotta use the lingo.
So that actually segues into our next point, number 4.
But it does sound like cost of living is a little bit less expensive than the U.S., but you also make a little bit less than the U.S., the average U.S. citizen. So it kind of sounds like it equals itself out in Americans and the Scottish, kind of seeing the same amount of struggle with purchasing power.
One of the easiest ways to come over here to live, if you're not a citizen or you don't have a husband who's a citizen, is to have a specialty. So immigration-wise, I know there's a lot of debate in the media about immigration-wise, but for our perspective, the easiest way to come over is on a skilled visa. So if you're
not already a spouse.
Yes. So you need to have a skill that the UK lacks in order for you to get a visa for your work or for your profession.
Typically, this is something like having a PhD in a field that is up and coming, or it can be, especially nursing is a great way to get into the UK.
We just had a family member who actually came over on a skilled visa for nursing, and I mean, nurses everywhere are in high demand. So
and that's globally pretty much.
Yeah, and he was able to transfer without he had to take a couple of tests and stuff, but the skills were pretty transferable. So in the grand scheme of things, that was fairly easy for him.
And I would say, it depends where you are in the States, but definitely here there is a bit of a difficulty getting jobs. I would say for like, if you're not specialized, you'd want to have a specialized skill here to get a job easily. So
yeah, otherwise you're gonna have to start again basically and build your way back up to whatever career you choose.
So another thing that a lot of people don't know is when you move from the US to the UK, you start off like a brand new baby out of the womb.
For your credit score.
For your credit score.
I don't know if I was supposed to say that earlier, but leave me hanging there.
That's pretty nice, though.
Come and you might have an amazing credit score back in the US, and then you come here and you start with a 0. Yep. And they treat you like an 18-year-old, or adults are 18 here, right?
Yeah.
And that is what you are. You're like an 18-year-old being released into the world and starting fresh.
Yeah.
So
even for me, so I was 23 when I moved over, so I'd had like a bank account, a debit card, and a credit card, but not with like a lot of spending on it. And now coming back over, my credits, I don't actually know what my credit score is, but even trying to get like a phone plan, like my credit is starting at 0 almost. So that's something to bear in mind. That I actually thought would be easier. I was like, oh, just get a phone plan and just do this and do that. And they're like, oh, I can't add any to my phone plan yet because I don't have enough credit built up with that company.
Right.
And then even our credit cards, like our spending limit's pretty low and all that sort of stuff.
And it was easier buying a house just based on Zach alone because I was seen as almost a liability. Even though I had a business, I had money, it wasn't the same.
Yeah.
So you need to keep that
in mind.
Yeah.
And then there are things you can do, like Annie opened an American Express credit card in the States in order to then transfer her American Express membership to a UK American Express, which does have some transfer over with your credit score.
It doesn't affect credit score. Sorry, I'm going to correct you a little bit. But it allows you to get a credit card, which a lot of Americans have difficulty getting when they move to the UK. A lot of people just want to give you a debit card and aren't willing to even give you any credit because they don't know you. They think of you as a liability.
The rain started, but we're going to carry on.
Oh wow, it's coming down pretty hard too.
Pish posh.
All right, let's move into the next point though.
So yeah,
that's wild. Yeah, I only thought of that scenario as a reverse. Like, maybe you got some really bad credit in the U.S. and it's like, well, let me go to the U.K., start fresh at 0. But yeah, it is something to build your credit up so high to the point where it's absolutely amazing, and then move over and start back at 0. And it's like here, you could almost get anything on credit because you was good for the companies knew you was good for your history showed, hey, they're gonna pay this money. But now that you move to the UK, you treat it like a kid to get like 18-year-old. Hey, we don't trust you to give you this on credit for you to make monthly payments. We can't trust that. So that's very interesting. Hey, if you ever move from the US to the UK, this is absolutely a must-watch video.
Another thing tied into your credit score is housing and either trying to buy a house or rent a house or anything.
Yep. So there is a little bit of a housing crisis. I want to forewarn anyone thinking about coming over here. It's tricky. Everything is competitive. We were up against 4 offers when we bought our house, 4 other offers, and it's very similar in the rental market. If you find a good rental, you have to get in that day. We're in the Edinburgh area, so it's even more competitive, and I'm sure it will be the same in London. In the big cities, it might be different around the rest of the country. So let us know where you are, how the different areas affect.
Yeah, but even for a rental, like we said before, you're not really going to have a credit score that you can rely on. So you might have to put up like 6 months of rent.
If not a full year ahead of time.
Just kind of like buy your credit, basically.
Yeah, buy trust.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't want to give it to you if they can give it to a British citizen who has credit. So you might have to be like, okay, I will put down a full year's deposit just so that you take that chance on me. And that is something that is very common here right now.
And then even if you come over on that skilled visa, you still need, what did your brother-in-law need? Like that specific number or something?
He had to get into the country and have his biometric residence permit.
Which you can only pick up physically once you land in the country. So trying to rent a place in advance is, I'm not going to say impossible, but it's extremely hard. So if you're coming over, either make a friend or realize you might have to stay in like a hotel or a bed and breakfast or Airbnb or something until you can get all your ducks in a row and get the stuff that they need in order just to let you rent a place.
Exactly.
I guess the next one we can talk about is public transport.
6 months to a year, a deposit. Well, the UK. I think you're an amazing country. I just financially couldn't see myself moving to the UK due to some of the reasons that they're explaining in this video. There's no way I could pay 6 months to a year deposit in advance. There's no way I could start back at 0. My credit score, I couldn't. Dang. Yeah, so even though the UK is an incredible country for people to move to, these are some difficulties and challenges that you're going to have to overcome.
Oh, yeah.
So I came from the view that the UK public transport was pretty good. And I still do have that view comparing it to the US public transport.
Which is almost zero, unless you're in New York City.
It's there, yeah, it's there, but in most of the cities, people don't use it, they drive.
Yeah.
Whereas over here, a lot of people rely on public transport. And because more people use it, I think there's a higher expectation of how it should function. And as such, people are more frustrated when it doesn't function well.
Yes.
Even in our recent video when we were on a train, we thought we had nice seats ready.
We were going to the Highland Games.
And we ended up having to stand for
a couple
2 hours. And a bunch of the comments were like, yeah, that's how it is. Like, it's terrible, this, that, and the other. Yes, it has its downfalls. It's not perfect. But you can also rely on it to get almost anywhere you need to go.
Yep. And it's still better than a lot of places.
Yeah. We've not used it a lot for commuting yet, but so I can't really talk on how affordable it is. But you definitely don't need a car if you're living over here, which is one of the huge appeals that we had coming over.
That is a great
The next point, though, does go into, we were pretty shocked at how expensive it was to get a train just down to London from Edinburgh. How much were our tickets?
There were hundreds of pounds.
Yes.
How far is it?
We didn't book too far in advance, and I know if you book a long way in advance, you can get some really good deals. But even with our rail card, which gets us 30% off the price, it was pretty expensive, and so much so that we considered like flying, getting transport to the airport, flying, and then getting transport from the airport to London. But yeah, the train goes middle of Edinburgh to middle of London. So in the end, price was similar-ish, but the convenience of the train kind of won out in the end. But it's not just kind of like, oh, cheap and cheerful. If you're doing those long trips, plan in advance, and if not, be prepared to pay hundreds of pounds for the convenience, I guess.
Yes, and we would have just canceled.
So the train would have been about the same amount as taking a plane? How?
But we have friends that are actually flying over from Ireland, from New York, and we had to make it happen because we wouldn't just be like going out and buying 100 pounds
on like a weekend trip. So.
Exactly. Yeah. But this is a pretty much once in a lifetime event for us all to get back together. We haven't seen each other in how many years?
A number
12
of years.
plus. So
jeez.
It was worth it.
Trains they're good, they're frequent, all this and other, but plan in advance. This next one, I'm going to let Annie take the lead.
So I have to say, with social media and all the changes recently, there is a bit of a bad rap with Americans coming to the UK. And if you are one of the fortunate Americans who get to make this transition, do know that you're having to appeal to the, British people and show that we're not complete idiots, that we are kind, that we're not just loud, abrasive, and brash people, which is a bit of what the common misconception is about Americans these days.
Yeah. I would say that was definitely like a stereotype that I kind of grew up with. Like, you could always spot the US tourists in Edinburgh. They would be the loud ones. They'd usually be wearing white running shoes with jeans, and you could spot them out, and I don't know, I don't know if that's so much the case anymore.
I feel it's gotten worse, though.
Really?
I feel like people are, I don't know, the people in our area genuinely are nice to us, and I've never had an issue. But I do feel when I see it online all the time, but sometimes it's just pushed at you if you're an American in Britain.
Even ourselves,
social media.
A couple of our first videos, some of the comments like, stupid Americans, what are you talking about? I was like, hey, wait a minute, that's not me.
I'm not American, I just have a weird accent.
So, stereotypes are what they are. But I guess with any new situation, come in just like humble and open to embrace the culture you're joining and take it from there. And like Annie said, Annie's not had any negative interactions at all, but the stereotype and the general, the media, and everything with like politics these days as well adds into it all. So it's all exploded recently, but it is something to be aware of.
Yeah, just put out a good image for us. Don't be that loud person. Give people space. If someone is walking on the same side of the road as you and they're there first, you move to the side, let them come through.
Even if it inconveniences you to move out of their way.
Exactly. Or I'm just thinking, use your utensils like the British people do. There's just little things. Or enjoy the food that's there and don't comment or make comments that wouldn't be appreciated. It's common sense, but use that and embrace the culture that you're in. So just take it and do our people justice.
I truly, the people who are wanting to move over here, I would believe would want to embrace the culture they're moving to, but
they should.
It's just a funny thing that Annie brought up, and it's good to get from her perspective, trying to defend her kin, I guess. But I feel like Scotland in general and where we ended up are a very, very welcoming community. So maybe this applies more to like big cities or whatever. But the sort of American stereotype is like kind of louder and I don't know, everyone's your friend kind of thing. Whereas the UK, British, Scottish stereotype is more kind of insular, keep to yourselves, quieter, and obviously the huge variation in that.
That comes with a big asterisk because, as you've noticed, people are so welcoming, so friendly. You can have a conversation with anyone.
Probably just because they hear my accent.
There was something though that you mentioned. We were talking about this, and I was like, "Oh, that's our next point." Do you remember what it was?
No.
Okay, let's look at our list.
So another one to be prepared for.
So yeah, so we just out here, you know, we got the stereotype of the loud, stupid Americans, and we don't like that. So we need to get rid of this stereotype. We need to beat the stereotype. And she's saying the way you do that, come over, embrace the culture. Don't be so loud. Be polite. Let others pass, even if it's an inconvenience, right? Be that, and you'll be welcomed and greeted with open arms, right? And you'll help change the image that Scotland sees of the U.S. So yeah, when you go coming from the U.S., and you go in another country, just behave yourself, embrace that culture, and don't give the rest of us a bad name.
Which is something I had to prepare for moving to the US, is that Scottish accents vary very wildly across our small little island here.
But not even Scotland. This is throughout all of England, Wales, Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
Like people's accents, depending on your region,
but I think like
very different.
people expect different countries to have different accents.
Okay, yeah.
But if you're like, even in, so I almost compare like Scotland to like a state in the US, just for size wise. So moving to Scotland, you can have accents all over the place. And like when I moved over to Georgia first, like a lot of people I can understand, and then we went further out of the city and I was like, what are they saying? And you can get that here. If you go up north to the Highlands, or even especially over to the islands.
Or Glasgow. Glasgow is very different than Edinburgh.
Highlands, islands, or Glasgow. But no, it's very true. It's a very, very different accent. I think Annie's been pampered by my East Coast, mellow, almost non-existent Scottish accent.
It almost sounds more English, even when I first met him.
Whoa, scandalous.
But there's, I think...
Scandalous.
That was a joke, just in case anyone's getting offended.
But even, I don't know, all throughout England I heard different accents.
Oh, yeah.
Here, London versus different parts of London versus Newcastle was hugely different. So
I really like the Newcastle accent, actually. Yeah.
So yeah, do a little Googling when you're moving over, find out what area you're going to be in, and listen to those accents.
How? How do you listen to an accent?
Glaswegian accent.
I mean, probably,
There you go.
there's probably a YouTube video. Like,
There's YouTube videos on every single kind of accent that exists. There's a video.
listen to me speak Glaswegian. Yeah. That might
Exactly.
help.
No,
yeah,
it's true.
For sure. And like literally different words for the same things. Like we were just up in the Highlands, and our friend told us about some of the different words they use on the islands.
Yeah.
And if you don't know them, you're gonna be like,
I would have had no idea what
Yeah.
they were saying. And even Zach, with being Scottish and being raised here his whole life, he didn't know some of the words. So that was a history lesson. No, it's just
It's true.
different based on your region.
all right, next one.
I think that brings us to
Yeah.
a point of this.
I would say the Scottish accent to me is definitely very difficult to understand. Like his accent is, I mean, easy. I guess certain regions of Scotland are very difficult for me to understand.
Doesn't really transition that easily, but having decision fatigue.
Okay, that does not transition at all, but it's definitely something to be aware of.
Yeah, when you move over here, you are going to be making, and we've been through this, I just saw my brother go through this, but there is decision fatigue out the wazoo.
Yeah, anything you can think of, especially these days. Excuse me. There's so much choice in almost everything.
like
Cars, houses,
Exactly.
schools.
What phone plan am I getting? What insurance am I going to get? They don't have a refrigerator in my apartment. What refrigerator do I need? There's so many decisions, and know that you're not alone in this process. Everyone's had to go through it. We all know there are lots of expat groups on Facebook, on Reddit. Hack into those and pull from people who've been through the experience before. Email us if you're going through this, because
we do get a number of emails and like, oh, sorry to but you said, we love those emails.
Yeah.
If we can fix one of your problems, then that's great.
Yeah.
And people
did the same for us.
Yeah.
We want to pay it forward. More than happy to help out anyone going through this transition, because there are so many questions.
Even if it is like, how do your tumble dryers work, or where do you go? Where do you buy a washing machine?
Yeah.
Anything,
Do you want a all-in-one washer and dryer? No, the answer is no.
The answer is no.
So just those kind of questions where you really don't have anywhere to turn other than to either people already living here or people have been through the experience. So feel free to reach out to us and know that it is something that every single person moving cross-country to any country is going to have to go through.
Yeah, and then kind of linked to that is,
I love how she said, do you want the washer dryer all together? No. The answer is no. That ain't if you're gonna get them separate.
we mentioned in another video, but there are a lot of really good like thrift stores, charity shops, reuse, recycle, all these things where you can try something, and if it really doesn't work or whatever, then at least you know and you can move on to another attempt. But we were kind of focused on getting everything squared away, ready before we go over here, and actually you don't need that much to get started.
I did. This brings up a point that I didn't really know. When you are in the States and you're doing a search engine and looking for lamps in the UK, whatever it is, your searches are US based and just companies that have some type of following in the US. So I didn't think we could get certain things over in the UK because they weren't popping up in my Google search engine. As soon as I moved over here, everything that I could have wanted when I typed it in popped up just like it did in the US. So that is something to be mindful of. You can get it all over here. I didn't think we could because when I searched from my US account for a UK product, it just there was some kind of barrier. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, and there's a solution to that. We need to get a sponsorship for this before I mention it. But
I know, stop.
VPN.
If you buy a VPN, you can select which country it looks like your internet is coming from. And so if you're in the US, you get this VPN and you hit Great Britain, and then it'll look like you're searching the internet from the UK, and those things will pop up. That's something we didn't find out until we were over here, and Annie needed a US VPN for something she was doing for work. And
so we'll talk. Maybe we should reach out to this company. Maybe you'll see a future ad. So we won't talk about which company.
You'll know because we've whitened our teeth and we're like
and here's the product.
But no, that's what Annie's saying is totally true. Like if you search for couches in the UK, you're gonna get like couches that have UK inspiration in their design or something, and you don't even know what the shop names are called.
Exactly.
So
I didn't know what I didn't know.
Where do you buy a sofa? Where do you buy a bed? Where do you buy this and the other? Because they just don't appear on your search. So Okay, so I'm going to let Annie take the lead on this one again, and it's a bit of a segue from the decision fatigue or decision making, but go ahead.
The last point is that it's easy to find friends over here depending on where you look. Sometimes it's harder to break into the smaller communities and the British communities, but there are always expat communities in the big cities at least. And so I found two really wonderful girlfriends who have moved to my area who are from the States, and they are in similar situations. It's nice to have that group.
I feel that.
I'm really thankful to have found them, and I hope that they stay here for a long time.
And he's like, comes away from Quick and Furious, like, I made a friend. I was like, wait, where did you go? But no, it's really good because they can, just like we're trying to do for you in some aspects, like they can be like, oh, have you tried this or this? Like for example, the car insurance. Trying to do car insurance. There are companies that specifically work with people who've moved from the US and use your no claims bonus or whatever from the US and insure you, whereas regular UK insurance companies won't do that.
Oh wow.
So yeah, Annie's upcoming video, Annie's going to start learning to drive over here. So we need to get her insured. And one of the companies it's well advertised on Google, but Marshmallow was one of the ones that gave us a pretty good price and allowed Annie to drive, because our car insurance wouldn't even allow me to add Annie to the car. So having that little friend group who've been through it and just like reminiscing on maybe what you missed or what you've enjoyed. Because you feel like
an outsider and a little, I mean, when you're getting together with people from a different culture or who have different accents, when I talk, I know that every head within vicinity of hearing my voice turns and immediately looks
scowls.
And Zach felt the same thing when he moved over to Georgia. So I've never felt that before in my life, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm talking. People are staring at me, and it's a little bit strange, which I don't mind that much. But to have friends who you just speak normally or talk about middle school and they know exactly what you're talking about because we've had similar experiences.
Not having to really explain some of your language constantly is nice sometimes. So.
But this all does come with a big asterisk as well. Many people over in the UK are here on skilled worker visas and don't plan to stay here for the long haul. So if all your connections are just through an expat community, you're going to be left quite sore when they move away and you have to start from scratch.
I can
so
feel
it's nice
that.
to have a mix of both British friends and friends from the States or wherever you come from. So keeping that in mind, make sure you branch out, make sure you try to embrace the culture, try to get into your community. I mean, we're meeting lots of friends just through our kids' school and standing around school every day waiting or going to the play parks. So take advantage of those opportunities as well, because it's so nice to have people you can relate to, but it's really nice also to know that the friends we make here are here and they're not going.
I mean, they have even more insight and information that they can share, and all the people we've met are more than willing to share that with us, which has been really helpful, really nice, and makes me feel warm inside that my culture is so embracing.
It is. It's a good culture. That's why we chose it.
Yes.
But
absolutely love that, and I feel like they're giving you like amazing tips that I feel like if you're moving over to Scotland or anywhere else in the UK, like these would be extremely helpful. And these are tips that I haven't seen in other videos, so that's big time. But of course, when making friends, you definitely don't want to just, you want to be friends with expats. Why? Because they can kind of relate to the same experiences you're going through, kind of the same culture shocks. But you don't just want it to be expats, because they move on and now you just stuck with no friends again. So you want it to be a mixture. I love the fact that they're so willing to help anybody who has questions about moving, even the simplest of questions. The fact that they put themselves out there and are willing to help is an absolutely incredible thing. They seem like a genuinely awesome couple. And I love this video. I'm gonna let them finish it out.
I think that's pretty much it for this video. Next video, I'm hoping that we get the editing done because we went to the Highlands, I think it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
It all becomes a blur. And that was the trip of a lifetime. Made a friend that we will have for the rest of our lives, and he acted as our tour guide. And so
took me to places I've not seen in my own country, and they're just like you see on all the internet and the guides and everything. Just absolutely amazing. But it's
the best part about it is he's actually English. So we have an Englishman showing Zach around his whole country.
I'm humble enough to. It's fine.
It was good though.
But yeah, we took a lot of video, lots of drone flights, and it just. Hopefully we can do it justice, and it's not a 7-hour video. But yeah, that's next week. So again, hit us up with your questions in the comments, or email us directly if you want to. Like and subscribe. Let us know what you like to listen to, what you don't like, and we really do read all the comments and take the feedback to heart and try and sort of.
We try to reply to every comment too. Yeah. Like we really do. It's just us. We don't have a team. No. And when we're responding, it's us responding. Yeah. So we take it all and try to give you feedback and appreciate when you tell us something and we learn from it, because a lot of the walks and places we've explored is because of what you've suggested or emailed us with.
We got a long list of things we still need to do just based on people's suggestions.
I mean, like, it will take years.
Yeah. So plenty more content to come.
But we appreciate all of your support, all of your questions and comments, and just watching every week, because we did not anticipate having anyone other than my dad. We made this channel pretty much for my parents. And
I love
having
that
you all follow along and enjoy it means a lot to us as well.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
Bye.
That was an absolutely great video. Like I said, incredible couple. They seem so freaking awesome and very helpful. And these tips were very helpful. If you got any tips that you want to add in the comment section, please feel free. But that's all we have. If you enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and check out the next one. I'll see y'all next time.